We're going to start Daf Masechta Shabbos Daf Peites. Begin 17 lines down at the top of the Yamud, where we continue with another teaching from Shubban Levi on this theme of Kabbalah Torah of Matan Torah. Shir's co-sponsor B'Kalzich and Yecheskel Torah anytime Daf Achayim. Soon everyone joining us here, greatly appreciate it. So we're going to continue with the theme of Rabbi Shloimy Levi talking about that when the Torah was given, the Satan came and says, Torah Heichani, Hashem, where is the Torah? He wanted to know where the Torah went. Additionally, we're going to speak about when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai. So he found Hashem writing the tagim, the crowns on the letters. He didn't say anything. Hashem said, you should have wished me success. Additionally, we're going to speak about, it says in the pasuk, when Moshe Rabbeinu got delayed, the Gemara is going to tell us it's when Moshe Rabbeinu did not come down on the 40th day, in the beginning of the 6th hour. That is, they made a mistake and they thought that it was supposed to be on the 16th, really it was supposed to be the next day, and then they made the Egel Hazav because they thought, okay, there's no more leader. This the Gemara is going to discuss how Har Sinai got its name. Mishmilach, my Har Sinai, what's the shirish of the name? Additionally, a very interesting narrative where Hashem tells the others, Banecha Chatuli, and Avram says, okay, kill them. Yaakov says, okay, kill them. And Yitzchak says, what, Banai v'lo Banecha? What's my sons, not your sons? And what do you mean, already was Ma'aseh Nefesh, therefore be mechaper them. Then we're going to continue with going all the way back to the thing we said in the previous parak, Parakim, which is again a lot of this theme of this Masechet is Hamaitzi, is the Malacha of Haitzah. We're going to speak about the shiur, the minimum shiur of eitzim, of wood, and of tavlin, and of spices. So we begin the current daf. Rabbi Shloimy Levi says, "B'shosh yord Moshe l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu." When Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Har Sinai in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he brought the Torah to the Jewish people, Bas Satan Bam Lefanim. So the Satan came in front of Rabbeinu Shalom, in front of Hashem. He says, Rabbeinu Shalom, Master of the world, Torah Heichani, where is the Torah? So it's not here anymore in Shemayim. Taisi says, what? The Satan didn't know that Torah was given? The whole world knew the Torah. The whole celestial spheres, everyone knew that Torah was given to the Jewish people. So Taisi brings from the Medrash that HaKadosh Baruch Hu kept the Malach HaMavos busy during Matan Torah. He didn't want them to prosecute and to say, wow, the people that are going to sin after 40 days from getting the Torah with the Egel, with the golden calf, you're going to give them the Torah? And as Taisi explains, the Satan is the Malach HaMavos, as the Gemara says in Baba Basra, and therefore that was the same Malach. The Malach HaMavos was the Satan to keep him busy, that he shouldn't see what's going on. That's why the Gemara actually says Torah is called Tushia. It's from the word of Bechashoy. It was given in silence because the Satan, they didn't want the Satan to know, or else he would have prosecuted. And Hashem makes the Malachim like that they should say their piece, and then the Jewish people could not have gotten the Torah. So be that as it may, he's saying, where's the Torah? So Hashem said to the Satan, Satil Aretz. He says, I gave it away, I gave it to the land. So Holach Eitzel Aretz. So the Satan went to the land, and Amalah, he said to the land, Torah Nechani, where's this Torah? So Amalai, the earth, the land, said to the Satan, as the pasuk says in Eve, Elihim Haven Darka B'Gomer. God understands its path, as the pasuk there concludes that B'Hu Yodas M'Gomer. He knows its place. I don't know where the Torah is. So Halach Eitzel Yam. He went to the sea. V'Amalai, and the sea said to the Satan, Einamadi, it's not with me. Halach Eitzel Tem went to the depth, which is beneath the ground. Amalai, Ein Bi says, not in me. Shemek, it says in the pasuk, in that same pasuk in Eve, it says Tohim Amar. The depth says Loi Bihi. It's not inside of me. V'Yamam, and the sea says Einamadi, it's not with me. So as the pasuk there continues in Eve, so Avada and V'Mavis Amru, and destruction and death, they said, we heard it with our ears, but again, they all said that we don't know where it is. So the Satan comes back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he's the bunch of master of the world. I searched the whole land, but I didn't find, where's this Torah that's not here anymore in Shemai? So Malai said to him, go to the son of Amram, Moshe Rabbeinu. So Allah Chetzel Moshe went to Moshe. Amalei says, Torah shenas l'cha HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you. Heichani, where is it? So Amalei said to him, V'chima'ani, what am I? Shenas l'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give me Torah. So Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Moshe, what are you, a liar? What do you mean? I gave you the Torah. So Amalei we sent him from the Hashem. Rebbein Shal, master of the world. Chamud the Genuzi yesh l'cha. There's a treasured, hidden, desirable treasure yesh l'cha that you have, referring to the Torah. That you delight in it every single day. I'm going to take credit for it, like as if I got it. I didn't get anything. I'm like HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, since you diminished yourself, meaning you weren't taking credit, it's going to be called on your name. Like it says the pasuk in Malachi. It says, Zichru Torah is Moshe Avdi B'Gomer, remember the Torah of Moshe, my servant, etc., which the Torah is called on Moshe because he didn't take credit, which that's the ironic thing about Torah. If you want to really get the wisdom of Torah, you have to say, me? Who? There's a difference between the wisdom of Torah and the wisdom of all the other sciences. One very distinct difference is that when you learn other sciences, you feel like an arrogant person. Torah is the exact opposite. The more Torah you learn, the more humble you become, the more self-effacing you come to the creator of the world, you become inspired and awed by him. Moshe said, me, who am I? Hashem give me something? And Hashem says, oh, you're the person. You're the person that Torah is going to be called by, because that's exactly the becoming a receptacle of a Torah. That was why it's called Zichur Torah Moshe Abdi. Another teaching from Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg on this theme. When Moshe went up to the heights, to the mountain, he found HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he was, again, metaphorically, he was tying the crowns onto the letters. What that means to say is, for example, as the Gemara brings later on of Kavdalim and Aleph, is that there are crowns on the letter Kuf, facing towards the next letter, the Resh, and so to what's called Shatnez Gatz. We have in our Sefer Torah that every single letter of those letters needs 3 crowns. So the Gemara says, Menachas Chavtes Mabeis, the head of the Zion, you have one going to the right, you have one going to the left, and so too by the shin. On the left side of the shin, as you have here in this picture, you see that it needs to have a crown, so to speak. It has these tagin reaching out, and all these 7 letters, Shatnez Gatz, all those letters have this crown. So he saw Kadosh Baruch Hu, like, so to speak, tying on the crowns to these letters. So Amalei said to him, Moshe, Ein, is it not the normal to give shalom, to give a greeting, birecha, in your city, meaning in your place? Why are you just sitting over there and you're not saying anything? So he said, Hashem, what is there, a servant that gives a greeting to his master as if he's worthy to greet him? Who am I to say anything? So Amalei said to him, you should have assisted me. Meaning, you should have said, and actually the Magen Avraham learns out from here, Allah L'maisa, you should have said, Titzlach b'malachtecha, you should be successful. You see someone doing work, you say, b'matzliach, you should be successful. So Miyad, immediately what Rashi learns, it means to say, the next time he came up to heaven, Amalei said to Hashem, as the Pasuk says in Midbar, V'ata, now, because of what you told me, Yigdal no Karech Hashem, the strength of Hashem should be greatened, kasher debat, like you said, which is, you told me that I should tell you to be successful, so now I'm telling you that about Gezug, so now I'm saying that. And that's because of what he had rebuked him last time, that you should have wished me success. Another teaching from Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg, also on this topic of Kabbalah Torah, what's the meaning of the pasuk in Shemais? It says, the pasuk there in totality says that people saw that Moshe Rabbeinu was running late to come down from the mountain. So they gathered on Aaron, they said to him, okay, make for us some type of a god that we could go in front of us, because this man Moshe that took us out of Egypt, we don't know what happened to him. He wasn't coming down. So now Yeshua Levi says, Al Tikri Baishish, don't read it that he was running late, Elaba'u Sheish, rather the 6th hour already passed. What does this mean? So the Gemara explains. Moshe Rabbeinu was going up to the mountain to receive the Torah. So Amalan Yisrael, so he said to the Jewish people, L'seif Arbon Yom, at the end of 40 days, B'tchila Sheish, within the first 6 hours, Ani Ba, I'm going to be coming back. Now they thought that the day that he actually went up was also from the calculation. But he was telling them 40 complete days, as we had this idea in the previous Daf, was called Leila Imoy. Moshe Rabbeinu had added on a day because he always said a day has to be the full day, which is the night in Jewish law, and then the day. Here when he went up on, according to everyone, even if there's a machlekes, if the Torah was given on Vav Sivan and Zayin Sivan, when he went up, everyone agrees it was Zayin Sivan. Now, he was saying 40 days later that he's going to come. They thought that it was Tez Zayin Tammuz because they were counting the day he went up too. And generally Sivan has 30 days. So Zion is 7, how much is remaining is 23. So they were counting here, that's 24, and then the 16 days of Tammuz. The problem is that he wasn't counting the day he went up, because he went up during the day, and you have to have Leila Imoy. So it was only starting the next day from Ches Sipin. That ends on Shiva Asa B'Tammuz. So that was the mistake they made. So L'Seif Mem Yoim, 40 days later, which was, according to their calculation, 40 days later, on the 16th of Tammuz, Bas Satan. Again, as Rashi explains, the Satan is the prosecuting angel. He's the same one that's the Yetzer Hara. He causes people to sin. And then, after he causes you to sin, then he's the Satan, which is from the word of Mastin, he incites. He causes you to mess up, and then he goes to Hashem and says, look what he did. So that's the same one that he makes like he's your friend, he gets you to do the Avera, and then he leaves you holding the bill and he goes and prosecutes it. So he came, the Irva Vesailam. He came and he mixed up the whole world. Meaning he showed figure of darkness and cloudiness and overcast clouds and the world in tumultuous climate. And that's what you have to understand. All this is the Satan. Whenever there's anything, it's all Hashgacha Pratis, that the world is like it is like that time. And he wanted people to say, oh, what's going on? The world seems to be going under. For sure, Moshe Rabbeinu passed away because already after the 6th hour and he didn't come yet. Because as Rashi explains, don't say that the mistake that they was because it was a cloudy day and they made a mistake from before Chatzos to after Chatzos, or like it was already Bo'eshesh, really wasn't, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even come that day. He didn't come out until the next day afterwards. Like it says, Veishkima Mamachas. The next day they got up to Din the Egel, to worship the Zara, and that's when Moshe Rabbeinu came that next day, because Aaron pushed him off at least to the next day. But the mistake was that Amalahen, so they thought he was coming to Tezayin. Turns out he was really supposed to come Yud Zayin. So the Sultan said to them, Moshe Rabchem Heichenu, where's your leader Moshe? Amalei said to him, Olam Rami, he went up to the heights, he went up to Shemayim. Amalei, he said to them, but Ba'u Sheish, it already came the 6th hour that he designated for you, and he didn't come yet. But they didn't pay any attention to the Sultan. So, and then he said, Mace, Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, didn't pay attention to him. Then he showed them a figure, a form of his bed, of his kvura. That's what they said to Aaron, as it says in that pasuk. Because this man Moshe, we don't know what happened to him. What's Zed this? Zed this. They're pointing that they saw his mita, they saw his dead body on the bed. Then they said, it must have been that he passed away. That's when they wanted to do the Egel Azav, which the Bali Musa learned out from here. Even though he told them that, where is he? And they were supposed to come the hour and he didn't come, and he even said he's dead, and he made the whole world whatever. Until they actually saw it, it didn't make an impact, which visualization is always a very important concept. When you see something, it makes an impact, no matter who you are. When he showed them the bed, then they succumbed to that taina, and then they did the Egel Azav. We'll continue with another teaching on this topic of Matan Torah. Mishmilach, my Har Sinai. Did you hear why is the Mount Sinai called Har Sinai? What's the root of the name Sinai? Somebody said to him, Har Shanasu B'Nisim L'Yisrael. It's a mountain where miracles happen to the Jewish people. A lot of times the word could be switched around. We had this on the previous Daf Chayri, which Reichi, the word Sin and the Samach and the Nun are switched around, so it's Nun and Samach. That's where the mountain where miracles happen to the Jewish people. And that he said, well then Har Nisai Mibayli. Shouldn't be called Sinai, it should be called Har Nisai. He says, no, it's Har Shanasa Siman Tov Yisrael. In that word Siman has the Samach and the Nun. It's the miracle, it's the mountain where a good omen happened for the Jewish people. And that he says, Har Sinai Mibayli. Shouldn't be called Sinai, it should be Har Sinai. So Amalei, so this rabbi who was asking Rav Kahana, who he wasn't happy with Rav Kahana's answers, he said to him, "My time shchichas kamed Rav Papa Rav Huna Beredi Yeshua. Why don't you find yourself in front of these great Talmudic sages that they analyze Gadata, which that's also from the great Bali Musa, that just like when you learn a sugya in Baba Kama with a lumdis and you analyze it, the Bali Musa or the Hasidic Islam is the same idea. The ma'ayin da Gadata. You have to learn Agadata and analyze it just like you would analyze, you have a Bercha Shmuel or a Chaim on the Sugyas. You have to learn Agadata that way too, because there's great secrets of life in these Agadata. With Rav Chizda, Rav Bered, Rav Huna, Rav Tavayu, they both say, my Har Sinai. Why is it called Har Sinai? It's Har Shiur the Sin La'akamalov. The Samach and the Sin are interchangeable. It's the same pronunciation. It's the mountain where hatred came onto the nations because they didn't accept the Torah. It's a prosecution against the world that they had the opportunity to accept it and they didn't. That's Hashem's hatred of the idol worshippers for not accepting the Torah. Now the Rambam has a very interesting discussion, which is very fascinating about world history. It's actually the idol worshippers' hatred of the Jews for receiving the Torah, where you could see that anti-Semitism comes from the Jewish people claiming to have God's world and knowing God's word and being God's chosen people. That's the hatred of the nations of the world. That's what started all by Har Sinai. Because not because they're wealthy, because they hate them when they're poor. It's not because they're poor and they're vermin, because they hate them when they're wealthy. They hate them for whatever reason. It's all illogical. It's all coming from the fact that we're God's chosen people and we have a sense of divinity and we have a sense of purpose and we're the dreamers of the world. they hate us. Just like the dreamers of everyone, they hate, you're such a prude, you're such a this. They just want to chill, they want to hang. And the Jewish people are the ones that remind the world, no, we're great, there's a purpose. You could have a family, you could have morality, you could have all these different things. And that, we're the messengers, so you shoot the messenger. And that's why they hate the Jewish people. That all started by Har Sinai, when we became the bastion, the beacons of truth. That's when the nations started hating. So it's the hatred of the nations on the Jewish people that all started at Mount Sinai. And says the Gemara, is Hey Shemes Yeshloi. There's 5 names that were given to Har Sinai. Midbar Tzin, the desert of Tzin. Why were they called Midbar Tzin? Shenitztavu Yisrael love, because the Jewish people were commanded on that mountain. Which actually the Gemara here, some Gemaras on the side have Argois V'tziyunim. So it's brought from the Sefer Ter Temima, who is the son of Netziv. He says that maybe you should be Magia, not Shenitztavu, but rather Shenitztainu. That they stood out. They became distinct from Har Sinai, because the word sin would be more related to Tzayin and not Nitztav. But either way, it's that either that they got commanded on this mountain or that they became distinct on this mountain. Midbar Kadesh, why is that called for Har Sinai? Niskach Yisrael love, because the Jews became sanctified on that mountain. Midbar Kedemais is, and we find these different terminologies in different psukim that refer to the same area, which Shais discusses and shows it is all the same area. Midbar Kedemais is Shenitne Kedumalav. That which is primordial, which was before the world was even created, was given on this mountain. Midbar Paran, why is it called Midbar Paran? There's a kingdom of Beis. Is Shapar v'Rav Yisrael, because it was from that mountain that the Jewish people proliferated. Because every single person his wife became pregnant with a boy when they had the commandment after Har Sinai, Shuv lechem aleichem, go back to your tent. It was from that point on that the Jewish people had children, and therefore it's from that mountain that they proliferated. And Midbar Sinai, why is it called Midbar Sinai? Like we said before, shiur the sin la'akim alav, because that's when it had the hatred for the non-Jews. That started over there at Mount Sinai. Now, Mashmayim, what was its real name? Those were the names we gave it, the appellations, because of referring to different elements of it. What was its real name? Chayriv Shemai. The real mountain's name was Chayriv. Har Chayriv. That's why we say Mishnah of this. Its name is Chayriv. Now, it says the Gemara, but please Rebavo. This interpretation disagrees with Rebavo. Because the Amar Rebavo, he says Har Sinai Shema. Actually, its real name is Har Sinai. Why is it called Har Chayriv? Because that's when it descended ruin on the nations of the world, again, because they didn't accept the Torah, therefore they got that ruin, and that's why it's called Har Chayriv, but really its name was Har Sinai. We continue, explain the halacha of Mishnah. We said in the Mishnah, Minayin Shekoshin Lashon Shal Zahiris Bereshlah Mishtalech. We says, how do we know, which this is discussed at length in Masechtas Yoma, that they would tie on red crimson thread on the horns of the Sarla Azazel, and which is the Sar Mishtalech, which is sent away, and then halfway through it would be cut up into limbs when it was thrown off the cliff, then it turned white. And that's what the Mishnah was discussing. How do we know that? We know that from a pasuk. A pasuk that the Mishnah quoted is a pasuk in Yeshaya, which says that if your sins are going to be kashanim, red like scarlet, wool of that color, kashel galbinu, it's going to whiten like snow. That's how you know that they would do that thing with the red thread on the horn, which would then turn white. But the Gemara asks a question: kashanim? The Gemara doesn't understand the word of the pasuk. It's like scarlet wool. Kashanim ibayle. It should have said without the and the mem, without the mem sofit, because it says kashel galbinu. It doesn't say kishalagim like snows. It says in the singular kashelik. So it should also say over here kashani, not kashanim. So that the Gemara says, Amri B'Yisrael, the following Akkadic interpretation. Amal HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the Jewish people, in the Yuchat Te'echem Kashanim Halolu, the word is referring to a different word, that of years. If your sins are going to be like these years, Shaseduris Ubois Meshezhi Revreshis Varachshav, that's going to be organized and all prepared. From the 6 days of creation up until now, you're going to have the sins all the way from the world history till this point. Kashel Galbinu, it will still whiten like snow, so it's referring to not just Kashani, like a red thread, but it's also referring to that of all these different years, that they're all going to be forgiven. Now the Gemara has another question on the same pasuk. Dorish Rava. The beginning of that pasuk, he says, "Ma'idus, it wasn't in the pasuk. L'chuna v'nevachacha yomer Hashem. Go now and let's reason. Yomer Hashem, Hashem will say." Now there's 2 questions on this pasuk. The simple understanding of the pasuk is that Hashem is reckoning with the Jewish people, like let's go reckon. If your sins are going to be like red, like crimson thread, it's going to be white like snow. But like where Hashem's going to first, there's going to be rebuke first. Like he's first going to reason with the Jewish people. But the Gemara says, "L'chuna, go now, Boina miboilai. That's like in Hebrew, and this is it. No, boina, young, right? Boina means come now. Why is saying go now? Go means go. What do we go? Come here. Hashem is reasoning and rebuking the Jewish people. Another question is Yom Hashem. Hashem will say. Amar Hashem miboilai. Hashem is saying. What do you mean He will say? So this is a very interesting Agadic interpretation. La'asud lavai. That's what it's saying in the future. In the future, at some point, Yom HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. Kadosh Baruch Hu will tell the Jewish people, you go to your fathers, and they'll rebuke you. You say, you ever get that guy in shul who says, yeah, your father would agree with this, yeah? Tata will turn this up, let me get friggin' the tata, right? So he says, go to your father, let him rebuke you. The father, the Jewish people can say in front of Hashem, the Boyan shall master the world. It's a minelech. Which one of our others should we go to? It's Avram. Should we go to Avram? Shamartala, you told him as the pasuk says in Bereshis, you should surely know which the pasuk that continues in Bereshis. Kiger Yizaracha, your children are going to be foreigners. Be'eretz lo lehem, in lands that are not theirs. They're going to serve. They're going to be afflicted for 400 years. He didn't beseech mercy for us. That's a father. You told him we're going to be in exile for all those years. He didn't say anything. Who should we go to? Eitzel Yitzchak, to Yitzchak. Sheberach es Esav. He benched Esav, who's our nemesis. As the pasuk says, he told Esav, when your brother is going to take off the yoke of Torah mitzvahs, then you're going to be able to take off the yoke from your shoulder, and then you're going to be able to take down the Jewish people, which is the problem we have in this Gullus now with Gullus Edom. He didn't beseech any mercy for us. That's a father. Who should we go to? Eitzel Yaakov. Shematla, you told him, as the pasuk says in Bereshis, Anochi Eredim Chol Mitzrayim. Hashem says to Yaakov, says, don't worry, I'm going to go down to Mitzrayim with you. And it says in the pasuk, V'nochi A'alcha Gam Olei, and I'll also go ahead and take you up from there. Which the words Elcha Gam Olei is an allusion to 4 different Goliaths. Because Gam is a ribui, is an inclusionary terminology. What's Gam also? What Elcha will come up with? What's Gam Ola? There's going to be other times when I'm going to come up with you, which means to say I'm going to take you into Gullus other times too, which refers to the 4 different exiles that the Jewish people go into. So he knew we're also going to go into Gullus. He didn't beseech mercy for us. It's a minelech. Who should we go to? Achshav now says the Jewish people, Yema Hashem. Hashem, you should say. You rebuke us, and we're dependent on you. That's why it says Yema Hashem. They're saying let Hashem say that not who's saying now, who should say. Hashem said to them, since you made yourself dependent on me, so the pasuk concludes, if your sin's going to be like crimson red, it'll be white like snow, you depend on me. I always like the pshat, tevlachsos b'Hashem and divim. The Vilna Gaon says, what's tevlachsos? What's the difference between chas and liftayach? Tevlachsos l'Hashem, it's better to have compassion in Hashem, than trust in the giving ones. Another is someone that's very generous, but batach means that you have a guarantee. Your uncle, your brother, your partner, he will bail you out no matter what the situation is. And you're betayach b'divim. It's better to be lachsis b'Hashem. Lachsis means that you're taking refuge in someone who never promised you. It's better to go to Hashem and says, Hashem, please help me, and be reliant on Him, even though He didn't promise you anything, than be betayach b'divim. Because the Bible says, you depend on me, I'll take care of you. You're one of mine. And therefore that's what the pasuk is referring to. That's when it's going to be Chatoechem Kashanim, Kashel Gabinu, if we're dependent on them. Now, the Gemara continues and says a very similar type of a Agavic teaching. I'm Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachman and Rabbi Yonasan. It says, Ma'idus, what does it mean a pasuk in Yeshaya, which the pasuk says, Ki ata avinu, because you're our father. Ki Avram lo yadanu, because Avram doesn't know us. V'Yisrael, which is the name of Yaakov, lo yikar, and he doesn't recognize us. At Hashem avinu galenu, you Hashem, you're our father, our redeemer. Ma'olim shemecha, from always is your name. What is this referring to? So the Gemara explains, La'asu lava in the future, Yemelach Kadosh Baruch Hu Avram. Hashem's going to say to Avram, Banecha chatuli, your sons, they sin to me. So Avram's going to say in front of Rebbein Shel Master World, Yimacha Kedusha Shemecha, let them be wiped out for the sanctity of your name. In other words, since they sinned, so your name will be sanctified when you do judgment for those who sin. You give a patch and everyone's watching, or like you heard from Rabbi Rappert about what they did with the Moranos on Shabbos by night, that they made them watch. I don't know if he went through all the torture methods that he showed me, but they wanted people to see all the cracked bones and all the things that were happening. He says, don't even think about it. And then they confessed already then. So he says that, okay, let them be wiped out, and we will learn a lesson, and Hashem's name becomes sanctified. When the sinners become punished, they learn that there's a din and there's a dayan for whatever happens. So Amar Hashem says, okay, Imli Yaakov. Let me go to Yaakov. He had the difficulty bringing up children. He had 12 shvatim. He had a daughter. Maybe he's going to beseech mercy for them. Maybe it's not going to be like Avram who says, okay, let them be wiped out. Somebody said to him, your son sinned. So Yaakov said in front of Hashem, let them be wiped out for the honor of your name. Somewhere he said the following statement. He says, you don't have reasoning by the elders, and you don't have counsel by the youth. Which means say Avram, the older one, he's the elder of the others. He's not defending them. And you go to the youngest one of them, Yaakov, he's also not defending them. I actually once heard an interesting interpretation on this statement when I got shimush in certain halachas by one of the elder rabbanim in this town. He quoted that when you ask a elter Ruv, you ask him for a dvar halacha, you ask him the psak halacha. So he says, this is what you do. And you ask him, but why? Isn't there a Mogen Avram like this? He says, Azay Friedman. So by the elder rabban, there's no reasoning. You ask them for like a pshad, you try to get into this. Azay Titman. He says, this is what we do. And but the young rabbis, you have no counsel. Say, what's the halacha? He says, look, Mr. Bruce says like this, Chazanish says like this, Ramosh says like this. What should I do? He doesn't tell you. He tells you, you have to know, you have to do. So I'm saying, Leibniz Savi Timer, not like Rabbi Rabbi. Rabbi Rabbi tells you what to do, and he's like Yitzchak, as we're going to see. But Leibniz Savi Timer, the elder Rabbanim, they don't tell you why. That's it. And the B'dadiki, they have no counsel. They don't tell you what to do. So Amalai Yitzchak, so he said, okay, Avram's not working, Yaakov not working. So Amalai Yitzchak says to Yitzchak, he says, B'necha Chatuli. He says, your sons, they sinned to me. So that Amalai so he said to him, he says, what? Rebbein Shem asked, well, it's my sons and not your sons? You love it when the wife gets upset at the husband and says, your son is not going to, my son? But suddenly he became my son and not your son? What's B'nai v'lebenecha? When the Jewish people said, Nasa we will do and then we will hear, he called them B'nai B'chari, my son the firstborn. Now Rashi addresses, what do you mean? It wasn't then. It was when they left Egypt, when by Mitzrayim he was calling them B'nai B'chari. So Rashi explains, because it was revealed in front of Hashem that they're going to, in the future, by Har Sinai saying Nasa v'nishma, to accept the yoke out of love like children. So already by Mitzrayim, like already by Mitzrayim, he called them my son, my firstborn. And Ashabana, now it's my son, not your sons. What you also have to be a part of this. Moreover, okay, how much did they sin already? As he explained, he says, look what a good defending lawyer Yitzchak was for us. He says, how many of the years of the person? Shivim Shana, 70 years. That's what it says. Shivim Shana is a person's life. So Dal Estin, take away the first 20. You don't punish for the first 20 years, like we find by the Derha Midbar. Because Baruch Hu only punished that they had to die for the 40 years from those that were 20 years and up. Like the pasuk says in the Midbar Yudalid, but Midbar hazeh yiplu pegrechem mi ben chav shana v'mal asher lein lein samalai. Only those who are over 20 years. Under 20, we know there's no punishment from Bezdin Shamal. So pashul lechamshin, we're down to 50 years. Okay, so dal chafei dulavos, and now you have to take away half of the day, so nighttime. So in a perfect night, it's 12 hours, let's say 6 to 6. So take away 25 years of nighttime where people are sleeping anyway. So pashul chafei, what are you left with? You're left with 25 years. Dal tarti Yisrael palka. Take away 12 and a half, because there's tluya, there's davening, a meichel, and eating in the basic keys, going to the bathroom. So pashlu tarti Yisrael palka. You're left with 12 and a half years. If you're tolerant enough to accept their 12 and a half years of doing averes, mutav, fine. If not, palgalach. Let it half be on me, Yitzchak says, and half be on you. If Himton Slim, you're going to say, Kul Malai, you want me to take the whole responsibility? Hakrevis nafshi kamach. I already gave up my life in front of you. And therefore, Pasuk v'amru, so they opened up and they said, this is what the Pasuk is saying, what Klal Yisrael said. Ki ata avinu. Who is ata avinu? They were talking to Yitzchak, you're our father, you're the one that's defending us. And that Amam Yitzchak says to the Jewish people, until you're praising me, praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's the main one. He's the one that's compassionate, I'm just trying to help. And Yitzchak pointed, so to speak, with his finger to have their eyes look at HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who he's your father. Immediately they lifted up their eyes to the heavens and they said, Ata Hashem Avinu Galeinu. Hashem, you're our Father, you're our Redeemer, that was always your name, you're our Tata, you're the one. Yitzchak was just trying to help, but really it was Hashem that we have to thank. The Gemara concludes with one more Agadic teaching relating with what we said before regarding Yaakov Avinu and regarding the Goliath. It says, Roho Yaakov Avinu. It was really fitting for Yaakov Avinu later in Mitzrayim when he originally went down to Egypt. That should be with chains of iron. Where, like all the people that go into exile, you have all these pictures of the Jewish people being exiled from Eretz Yisrael, where they're chained. That's because when he went down to Mitzrayim, it's really a Gzer of Gullus, like we said, that you have to be there for 400 years. So really, Yaakov should have been going down to Egypt with being chains. And the Shazchusa Garmale was his merit that caused that he didn't go down with bonds of chains. That's what it says the pasuk in Hosea. Bechavli Adam, with the ropes of a person, meaning because of his endearment of the person, he took him down to Mitzrayim with ropes and not with chains. Rather, I draw him with braids of love. And Hashem says, I'll be for them like lifting up the yoke from their jaws, which is like a person who's tolerant and he helps out his animal. He lifts up the yoke from the neck of the animal with different boards and different sticks. And I'll extend to him something that could bear, meaning I gave the Jewish people strength. They could be tolerant of the servitude, the avodas perach that they had in Mitzrayim. That was the merit of Yaakov, that he didn't have to go down with chains, but really, it was really appropriate that he should have had to go down with chains to Mitzrayim. Now we continue with the next mission, which now goes all the way back from the previous parakim, going back to the topic of Hamaitzi, which we had many different parakim talking about the word Hamaitzi, when it's talking about different food items, and talking about different jewelries, and about the animal going out. Now we go back to that theme of Hamaitzi, which talks about the minimum measurement of the shiur by itself for different items. It says the Mishnah, Hamaitzi Eitzim. Someone carries out wood on Shabbos. What's the minimum measurement to be significant to be chayv on Eitzah? It's the levashel be'ekala. It's the amount of that you could use to cook the lightest egg, which we already explained in the previous stuff. That's the egg of a chicken, which is the easiest egg to cook. And we said it's not really the amount of cooking a whole egg. It's a gregorus, a dried fig of the size of that easiest egg. How much wood you need to cook that egg, that's the significance of the wood that you're going to carry. And what's that of tavlin, of spices, of seasoning? That's kedel tavel be'ekala. The amount of seasoning that you need to spice this egg, of how much spice you need, of a gregorus share of that, that's how much is going to be chayv for the yitzah and seasoning. And moreover, says the Mishnah, mitzdarfen. And all different types of spices, they combine zeh with each other to be the minimum share. So you have a little bit of ginger, a little bit of this, and a little of that, and they're going to be the share that you could spice an egg, they combine for the share of yitzah. The Mishnah continues and says, klipi agoizim, the husks of nuts, which Rashi explains that's talking about which it grows on the shell when it's still moist, or klipi remainim, or the shells of pomegranates, or istis, or safflower, or puo, or the madder plant, which these are different types of herbs or peels that are used for dyeing purposes. So they all have the shear of kedei tzvaya ben beged cotton, the amount of dyeing that small garment, that's pisvacha, that's on the top of the svacha. The svacha was the type of a hat that was made like a netting. It was like a netting of a hat, and they would put on the top of it, they would put this type of a small little garment. That is like the smallest garment that would be dyed. So the ingredients of all these dyes would be the amount of dye that could dye that small garment that would go on top of that netting hat. That's the shear of Heitzah for that. And Meir Aglayim, regarding, now that we're talking about regarding cleaning agents, regarding urine or neser, which is a type of earth that's called nitra, ubairis or soapwort, or kamulya or va'ashlig, which those two things the Gemara is explaining exactly what they are, but they're all cleaning agents. They're detergents. It's the amount to launder that small garment, where they would take off this garment like you have by the Atura. You have to take it off and you have to clean that, it gets all schwarz over there. So that small little garment would get dirty. So the amount of cleaning agent, which is very little, just to clean this small little garment, that's a minimum measurement for the Chiv Eitzah for that. Rabbi Yehuda gives a different qualification. It says, it's the amount of removing the stain of the nida blood, which if you find by a woman a kesem, a stain, and you don't know is it from her or is it from some other source, you put on a certain amount of ingredients, as the Gemara elsewhere explains, and you see if it comes off, then you say that it's dam nid. If it doesn't come off, then we say it's a dye, and then we're going to purify her. She's not going to have the status of dam. The amount of cleaning agent that's necessary to just remove that blood stain, which is a lesser amount, that according to Yehuda is going to be the shiur of Eitzah for these cleaning agents. Now, the Gemara asks, regarding the opening halacha of our Mishnah, regarding we said the shiur of taking out wood is the amount of cooking an egg, says the Gemara, Tanin Chadazimna. We already learned this once before, and the Mishnah Payim a base. When we learned this, we didn't talk about wood. Yeah, we did because we spoke about a kana, a reed, which is essentially the same element as wood. We said it's kedilas is kulmis. It's the amount of making a quill. But then we said in hoya ava merusas, we said if let's say it's too thick or it's broken, so then you can't make a pen out of it anymore. So then we said the minimum shiur is kedei levashal beikala, is to go ahead and to cook the lightest egg shebebeim amongst all the eggs, which is the egg of a hen. That's true for that's beaten and it's soon bilpas and it's put into a hot pan with oil. That's how much is necessary to be the shiur. Now that's the same thing as eitzim. We're talking about how much could you fuel is this shiur. So already said this by the quill, by the kana, by the reed. So why are we saying it over here again by the piece of wood? And that says the Gemara that no. Ma'odetema, what would you say hasim over there by the reed? Over there, when it's crushed, it's not valuable. It's not valid for anything. Only for using as fuel for firewood. Oh, so over there, that's where the minimum shiur is going to be. How much you could cook that of an egg? But would the chazul that you could also use it for the teeth of a key? In Talmudic times, the keys were made out of wood, and you have the teeth of the key, which you have to make different shapes from the teeth, and that you make out of a small piece of wood. A culture, I would say that even a small, tiny piece of wood, just the size of making the tooth of a key, would be significant, and you'd be chayav b'eitzah on that. So it's saying that no, the shiur of the eitzim is also like that of the kana, which is the amount of cooking an egg. How much do you have to use for the fire to fuel it? Now the Gemara concludes with the last halacha for this daf from the Mishnah. The Mishnah says tavla spices is kedel tavl peya kala. It's the amount of cooking of spicing that of just an egg, and the word is actually going on the next word, which is mitztaf. And we said in all types of spices they combine together. On that, the Gemara says, Raminu, there seems to be contradicted from Mishnah Sechdus Orla on our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that all spices they combine, which means that you could take two different spices, and they're going to be the minimum shiur together. But the Mishnah Orla says, Tavlin, a spice, that Shnaim v'Gimel Shemus. It has 2 or 3 different names, which Rashi explains that to mean, not like places. It's like, let's say you have pepper. But, so it's the same thing, like the Gemara says, Mimin Echad, from the same species, but it has different names. Why? It's either white pepper, black pepper, long pepper, or the other way around. It's mishleishiminim, it's from 3 different types, let's say 3 totally different types of spices, but V'Shem Echad, it has the same name. So it has the same, it has, from that of the Isser, it's 3 different types. Let's say one is one type of spice, another one's a turmeric, another one is ginger, another one's different, but it's all from the same prohibition. Let's say they're all orla, or all Klein, or whatever it is, they're all the same prohibition. So again, either that they're different names but from one type, or from 3 different types but the same Isser, be that as it made, the Mishnah says in Arla, Asur, and it's going to be Asur. Meaning if you spice the pot with these types of spices, whatever it is, it's going to become forbidden. And they combine to spice the pot. Let's say each one does not have enough to spice it, but together it's going to give seasoning to the pot. They're going to combine and they're going to make it prohibited. Now, on that Mishnah, Rabbi Chizkiah explains, says this, that the Mishnah says that they combine, as you get into B'Tzadim and Aleph, is only b'minim etika sham, is only by different types of sweeteners. Meaning to say all these spices, we say they combine, is if they're all sweetening the pot. And the reason why they combine is because it's fit to sweeten the pot. Oh, says the Gemara, this is the difficulty. Time of the chazal matik. It sounds like they only combine because they're all sweeteners. One is sugar, one is honey, one is something else, but they're all sweeteners. But if not for that, then lie. Then they would not combine. If it's a different species, it's not combining. Our Mishnah doesn't differentiate. Our Mishnah says all spices combine. So that seems to be a contradiction. Says Gemara, you're right. The halacha of a Mishnah, the way Chizkiah qualified in that Mishnah too, is only spices that work together to season a certain dish. Again, Michayim is the same idea. Is also chazal matik. Is also worthy of either means to sweeten or it's giving it's working together. That's the same thing. Our Mishnah would also be the same halacha. That is not a contradiction. It has the same qualification. It has to be chazal matik, and only then is it going to combine together. Just like over there for the prohibition of the food item, whatever it is for arlo. So to be here for that of. So to hear also for that of the shiur b'eitzah is also going to be only if it has that of that it's chazal matik. So as we spoke about today's daf, we had many different teachings from Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg on this theme of Matan Torah. So one of the teaching was B'shosh Yered Moshe. When Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the Torah, the Satan came and he says, "Where's the Torah?" And he says, "He came to the earth, he came to the sea, he came to the depths, he came all over, and it wasn't. He came to Hashem. Where is it?" He says, "Go to Ben Amram." Comes to Moshe Rabbeinu and says, "Whoa, what? What do I have?" He says, "What are you lying?" He says, "No. What am I going to take credit for the Torah?" He says, it's going to be called on your name. That's what's called Zichur Torah, Moshe Abdi, and that's from the famous pasuk. So Moshe, we say Torah Tzivul on the Moshe. The Torah gets credit to Moshe. Another teaching was Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the heights. He saw Hashem tying crowns onto the letters. So he didn't say anything. He says, "Well, you don't greet anyone." He says, "I'm going to greet the master." He says, "You should have assisted me," which is to say that you should have a hatzlacha. And what you do next to him, he says, Hashem, that he went and told Hashem that he should be successful in what he's doing. Another teaching he said was, it says in the pasuk, Ki Baishish Moshe. So that the Gemara expounds, Baishish means they came late, but it means Bo'u Sheish. It was the 6th hour. It says it's already the 16th of Tammuz, and he didn't come down. He says, and they didn't believe him. He said he died, and then he says, Ki Zeh Moshe Ish. What's that? He showed him his dead body. He said in this coffin, in this mita, and then he says, "Oh, the 6th hour already came. He didn't come." And really, Moshe Rabbeinu was coming the next day, which we know is the infamous day of Shabbos Daf, when he was supposed to, and he did come down because it has to have Leili Imai. So why was it called Har Sinai? So it's not because of Nisim, because then it should have been Nisai, not because of Siman, then it should have been Simnai, but rather because Yard the Sin Ala'akam Allah, when the hatred of the nations came on it because they didn't accept the Torah. And we said the Har Sinai has 5 names. Midbat Sin is because either Shenat Stava, they were commanded, or Shenat Stainu, that they were distinguished on that mountain. Kadesh is they were sanctified. Kedemas is the primordial Torah was given on it. Pardon is from the terminology of pardon v'ravin, that they proliferated after that. And Sin, like we said, is the Sinna, or Chayriv is because there was destruction came to the nations of the world from that point on. We went on Amud Beis to explain the halacha of the Mishnah, which the next one was, how do we know that they would tie on a red thread on the Sar HaMishtalech? So he said the pasuk in Miyuchat Terechem Kashanim, red like crimson, Kashel Galbina. But then the Gemara expounds homiletically why I say Kashanim, it should say Kashani, which is Kashani is the red thread, just like it says Kashelik. So Kashan refers to all the years, from Sheshavei Bereshis, all the sins up until this point, Kashel Galbina, they'll be whitened like snow. And why? Like the pasuk starts off, L'chu Nova Nevacha, Yomer Hashem. So he said, what do you mean L'chu? It should say Bo. It's Yomer, it should say Amar. So it says, talking in the future. He's going to say, go to your fathers, L'chu, go to your fathers, they'll rebuke you. And he says, who should we go to? Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, no one stood up for us. Rather, Yomer Hashem, Hashem should say, you should rebuke us. And Hashem says, you made yourself dependent on me, I'm going to go ahead and forgive you. It's going to be Kashel Yalbino, be white like snow. Similarly, it also says a different pasuk, Ki'ata Avinu. What that's referring to is Lebesabi time of Lebedadi Ki'etza. He went to Avram, he said Yemacha Kedushamecha. Went to Yaakov, Yemacha Kedushamecha. Went to Yitzchak, Yitzchak says Pagalach, that he says that fine, I'll take, you take, and if not, all me, I was already Meisim Nefesh, and he says, oh, you're our father. He says, no. He pointed to Hashem. Hashem is your father. I'm just trying to help out. And Hashem, and then they go and praise Hashem. Hashem, you were always our father. And we ended off that Yaakov really should have gone down with iron chains to Mitzrayim, but it was his merit that he just went down as a free man, where it was really Gzeres Galus, and it should have been B'shal Shlosh HaBazal. Then we started next Mishnah, going back to the theme of the previous Parakim of Hamaitzi, of the shiur of Haitzah. So he said if you take out wood, that's the amount of cooking, of how much wood you would need to cook a gregus of an egg, which is very little. And Tavlin, the amount of spices, the amount of spicing of Be'ekala. Then we said regarding the dyes, it's how much to dye that small garment that was put on the top of that hat that had a netting. It's about detergents, which that's either also to launder that bagged cotton, or Yehuda, which is even a more chamadig shir, it's the amount of removing the stain of a nida to see if that's dam nida or if it's some other dye. That's how much you need from the detergents to be chayv. So the Gemara first asks on hamaitzi eitzim, that halacha already learned one time in Daf Pei, that we said that we spoke about the thick reed, that's the amount of using fuel for the smallest egg. That's really what wood is, the same thing. Why are you saying it again? So no, I would have thought to say that's only over there which the reed has no other utility. So of course it's going to be for the shear of fueling a fire. The wood, which has utility, which you could use for the teeth of a key, I would have thought to say that would be chayv, even that small shear. So saying no, it's the amount of fueling a fire. And the last halacha we spoke about was, we said that tavlin is the amount of cooking a light egg, but we also said that it's mitzdarfen, all the spices combined. That's contradicted from Mishnah Masechtas Arla, which the Gemara explained it, that was combining only if it's types of sweeteners. And our Mishnah doesn't differentiate, it sounds like all spices combined. But the Gemara says, no, you're right, Hachanami, in our Mishnah too, when they combine, it's chaz lamatik, it's that it's fit to sweeten, meaning to give a taste together, and therefore that's all going to combine. Thank you for any time posting us.